What's the state of the candidate experience? Well, find out next on the RecTech podcast. Hello again, RecTechies. Welcome to the only podcast that helps employers and recruiters connect with more candidates through technology-inspired conversations. Attracting talent through technology is changing rapidly, and that's why this show exists. Today's episode is a vendor edition. Our show, of course, is sponsored by our friends at Brazen. Go big or go home. That's the motto Brazen lives by. And to show they walk the talk, they're offering RecTech podcast listeners an exclusive offer, which includes a $25 Amazon gift card, among other things we know you'll love. As the leading virtual event platform for talent acquisition HR teams, Brazen is helping some of the top brands in the world like CVS Health, Spectrum, USC, and more connect, engage, and hire great candidates in our all-new virtual world. According to Kathy Hennessy, their executive director of talent acquisition at Advent Health, one of the nation's largest nonprofit health systems, and a Brazen customer, quote, "With Brazen, we've seen our times drop by over 10 days since adopting virtual recruiting. When you add that up across the number of hires we do each year, that's significant and 100% because of virtual," unquote. So if you're looking to level up your virtual recruiting experience, head over to brazen.com/RT to get a custom demo, the free guide on how to host a virtual hiring event, and your $25 Amazon gift card. Now that's big. All right. Attracting, engaging, and hiring the right candidate starts the moment a job seeker lands on your career site. As the digital window into your company culture, employers must leverage their career site to convey a strong brand, quick and easy access to jobs, and information that helps them make an informed decision about whether your company is right for them. Now, as organizations prepare for a post-pandemic workforce and a new era of HR, delivering an incredible candidate experience is the only way to gain a competitive edge and win over talent. Phenom, the provider of the talent experience management platform, recently released results from their survey entitled State of the Candidate Experience that details how Fortune 500 companies rank when it comes to attracting, engaging, and converting talent. Here to discuss me, to talk about the report, is their VP of Marketing, Jonathan Dale. Jonathan, great to see you, man. How's it going?
Chris, good to talk to you again. Thanks for the invite. Appreciate that.
Excellent. It's good to see you there at Phenom's headquarters, world headquarters there in Pennsylvania.
We're sitting here just outside of Philadelphia. I will say there's, you could probably hear the echoing because there's not that many people in the office. I think out of our office, there's probably only 5 people here today, which is not uncommon. But I will say we are ramping up, and by the end of this year, we'll be back to an almost full workforce back in the office. Of course, there's going to be a hybrid model, but we're gearing up for that now.
Excellent. Well, first of all, before we get started with the report, congratulations are due. Phenom landed a $100 million Series D funding round a couple weeks ago. So how does that feel? What's the response been like at that company?
You know, the response in the industry actually has been tremendous. So we're very fortunate for that. Of course, all of the employees, we're here for a purpose. Anyone who's not familiar with the Phenom brand knows we're a purpose-driven company, right? And we pretty much every meeting, every public appearance, anything you ever see from us, we usually start out by saying, you know, our purpose is to help 1 billion people find the right job. So, you know, we look at fundraising and raising capital as part of the process of our business to grow. And if our business is not growing, that means we're not serving our purpose, right? Or we're not doing a good job getting to that purpose. So I appreciate the acknowledgement on the funding. You know, we have our customers and our employees to thank for that.
Yeah. Well, you're in kind of elite company there. I wrote a story a few weeks ago on RecTech Media about the HR tech darlings out there. They've gotten more than $100 million or more in a single funding round. And you guys are now one of, when I wrote it, it was 18. Now it's 21. So in the last couple of weeks, there have been a couple of other vendors like Dick Reed and a few others who picked up massive funding rounds. And we're living this golden age of HR tech right now. And it's just incredible to see this amount of investment and interest in the technology and the candidate experience, right?
Yeah, I would agree with you. There is a lot of funding in the HR industry overall, and there has been for quite some time. There's good reason, right? As you mentioned, the golden era, the golden age, we've said recently, you know, of HR is coming. You know, the pandemic was good for some companies, was bad for all of us, and bad for some companies. But I think we're seeing a progression of that, and with that opens up new opportunities for a lot of people.
Excellent. Well, let's dive into the benchmark report you guys put out there. Tons of numbers in there to look at and gloss over. I guess from a high level standpoint, run me run through some of the executive summary bullet points there around sort of some of the top findings, if you could.
Yeah, well, let's as we jump into that, let's talk about what this report is, right? Some folks are familiar with, a lot of people are not. We've been doing what we call the state of candidate experience, which is a benchmark across the Fortune 500 companies. So we do this audit. I mean, this takes hundreds and hundreds of hours to go to each career site of the Fortune 500 companies and start looking at what that candidate experience looks like, right? What it looks like, what it feels like, how the process goes. And we're looking at three main factors. We're always looking at attraction, we're looking at engagement, we're looking at that conversion. So that's really what the whole benchmark report is. And we often get times asked, hey, can I find out where I rank in the report? Well, if you're in the Fortune 500, your name's in the report. You can see where you ranked on that. Yeah. So
who before you get give me a couple of names there as far as who does really well in
you
this
know
report.
what, I try not to name drop anyone.
Oh, come
because if you name drop one of your customers, now you're biased.
Okay.
But the Fortune 500, the company names are in there. It's public information. You just go to our site and find it. But we try to avoid publicly calling out companies that do really well. And there's some amazing companies, household brands that do very well, and just as many amazing brands that do not do well in this.
Yep. Okay. So if we look at some of the executive summary points here, I'll just roll some numbers for you.
Sure.
You can comment on some of these. Let's see. So personalization is big, right? More than 91% of the Fortune 500 neither curated nor suggested personalized jobs to candidates. And that's a big miss right there, right?
That's a huge miss. I mean, let's face it. Everything we do, our industry falls back on the shopping terms, right? We always fall back on the shopping experience. Well, why is that? And it doesn't have to be shopping experience. It could be the Netflix experience. You could be watching one show. Shouldn't you get other shows recommended to you? Don't we discover things we really like that way? And a big miss is when we're not doing that in the job world, right? For job seekers, that's a huge miss in trying to attract and engage someone who they might be an amazing worker for your company versus an experience of going to a career site looking for a job and being suggested certain jobs. So yeah, that's a really big miss.
Yep. Let's see. 9% of the companies had a chatbot on the career site. That's definitely low, but growing. 17% of career sites had branding on each page to indicate that the user they're still on the same site. That's a great point because first of all, branding should be everywhere. If you're if you have a career site, you have to remind people what page they're on.
Yep.
Things like even the domain name, right? You want to make sure you're not pointing to some strange looking tech address, but just talk about the branding if you could, if you could.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be glad to talk about branding and in the chatbot one. It's actually shocking to me that folks, that Fortune companies who likely, we didn't look at this, who likely almost, I don't want to say all of them because that would be making up information, but many of them, I bet, have chatbots on their corporate sites. Let's just agree that that's probably a common thing that they have chatbots on their corporate site for support reasons or product reasons. Yet for jobs, only 9% have it. Now, we've done other studies in the past around chatbot usage on career sites, and we found if you suggest a job to a candidate and it's the right fit for them, they have a 40% greater chance at converting and applying for that position,
right?
Just by that job being suggested through the chatbot. Like, as job seekers, we are very comfortable interacting with chatbots. You want to suggest jobs to them, ask them questions, engage them. A chatbot doesn't just do one thing. It does many things in this whole candidate experience. And to miss out on the chatbot, which should be table stakes at this point, is alarming. It's very alarming.
Yeah, totally.
You mentioned the branding side, right? On the branding side, only 70% of career sites had consistent branding on each page. But you're missing, these employers are missing an opportunity for that candidate to really connect with their brand in a meaningful way. Right? You want to see that logo. You want to be proud of it. You want to feel that connection throughout the process, or all of the pages you're looking at through that process. And when it falls off, well, you feel less attracted to that company.
Right. That's a good way of putting it. These last two on the executive summary, to me, are really disturbing. So 89% of career sites did not have an intuitive job search and apply process. I've definitely done some research on the apply process and
Yes.
can attest to that. And then the last one, only 1% of companies communicated the status of the application to the candidate. And that's just like, the technology is there to do this. Why can't we get this stuff right, Jonathan?
I wish I knew the answer to this one. I've been a candidate in my life a few times, not a lot, but I've been very fortunate in my career, but a few times I've been a candidate. But you hear every single day, you hear from job seekers. What do you hear? I applied to all of these companies. I never hear back. Many times you get a confirmation that your resume has been submitted or confirmed, like, hey, thanks for submitting your application. Then you never hear back after that. And I think we're entering into a more empathetic phase, and HR needs to be a little bit more empathetic to these job seekers. And we need to realize and treat them better. This is no longer just a process-driven type of situation. We need to be more human in the process and provide those more human experiences. And with that, I think you would agree, it's no longer acceptable for us not to provide the status of an application to a candidate who's trying to find work, but also investing in your company when they apply.
Right. Give me an example of how Phenom handles that particular user experience. Do you have multiple status updates along the journey? Can you set those? How does that work?
So each company has their own process. We agree to that. And many companies right now are leveraging their HCM or their ATS platform for some of these job statuses, or to get a candidate through the process. And so what Phenom provides is we provide an experience on top of, or in addition to, the HCM and ATS. So with the combination of Phenom and the employer's chosen ATS or HCM, they should be able to consistently communicate application status back to a candidate. And they should be able to do it in a more omni-channel way. So you can do it via text. Whether you think it's formal or not is not for you or I to judge, right? You can do it via text. You can do it via chatbot. You can do it via an email process. I think the most important thing is that it's done, and it's done consistently for everyone. And that employers and HR understand that candidates really are affected when they don't hear back from you.
Yeah.
How can you get someone to reapply for a different position if they never heard back from you the 3, 4, 5 other times they've applied to your company? You can't. You've lost them. You've lost the connection and the positivity of that. And so, Phenom, in connection with the existing systems of someone's HR team and platforms, can do this.
Yeah, I mean, the tech is there. It just takes the will of the employer and the leadership team and TA to actually, make this happen. And, I was talking to Jerry Crispin once, and he was talking about one company who made it a part of the recruiter's daily duties to go in there and, if mark off the applicants, whether or not they were hired, or if they're moving through the process, or reject them. And every candidate was accounted for in their process. And they made the recruiters do that on a weekly basis. And to me, that has to happen more in TA these days. And, then the candidates will understand better how they're doing, and we'll have less of a black hole myth out there. That's currently.
So Chris, I was talking on this same topic. I was talking to a buddy of mine who was applying for a role in a company. And he knew someone in the inside, not the hiring manager, but he knew of another manager that was a hiring manager that had access to the HR systems. And so 3 months went by. He said, hey, buddy, what is going on with this? Am I still in this process? I interviewed. I was told I was one of the top candidates, and now I'm hearing nothing. What is going on with the role? I haven't heard that they closed it, but I haven't heard they haven't closed it. The other hiring manager goes in the system, looks and says, oh, here's what's going on. The manager above the hiring manager got replaced. All hiring in that department was put on hold until this manager is in fact established. So here's one of the top 2 to 3 candidates for that role never communicated what's going on. That's a terrible experience. If you don't have someone in the inside, in this case, my buddy's like, okay, well, that's good. I'm happy now that I know something, that I'm still there. But most candidates don't have someone on the inside. It's a really bad experience.
Yeah. I was talking with Tim Sackett today too, and he was telling me his son was searching for a job. He kept a list of everything, and he applied to like 100 jobs. Only 20 sent him a rejection email. That's what, 2 out of 10. That's crazy.
Yep. Yeah, it is crazy.
All right, here. All right, so let's move on to let's dive deeper into the attraction phase of this.
Sure.
Some of your key findings here. Let's see here. Here's a great one. 85% of career sites did not have an option for social login. How important to that is, converting them into an actual registered seeker at that point?
Yeah, I think anything we can do, like the theme in attraction, right? You're attracting people, and then you want to, of course, we want to engage them and convert them. Anything we put as a roadblock or make it harder to either we ignore them or make it harder for them to kind of sign up or to log in or to make a connection or to join a talent community, right? Which are being more and more popular. That's harder than to stay engaged with that candidate. We're all used to log in with Google, log in with social, log in with LinkedIn, right? We're used to these things. We want to see them pop up. And when we do that, it feels natural to us. And if it feels natural and we're comfortable with it, that's something that, in this case, career sites should definitely incorporate.
Here's another great one. 46% of career sites were not optimized to start the job search above the fold, meaning above what you can see on your screen at any one time. That's a big one, I think.
I think it's a big one. As a marketer, we're told traditionally anything below the fold, don't assume anyone's ever going to read it. And I think in a job search, it's very similar. What does a candidate want to do? If they're learning about your brand, okay, that's good. Like, you want them to learn with your brand. You want them to engage with content, maybe some of those, stats we're going to get to, but you also want them to be able to do a job search right away. And if you don't have something above the fold allowing them to search, there's a reason why when you open up Google, the search bar is front and center. It's because that's what you come there to do. And same holds true for a chatbot, right? You want to also have your chatbot engaged fairly early in the career site process to start understanding what is that candidate looking to do. Now, if they're not looking for a job search first, or they're looking to understand something about your brand, they're not going to get that from the job search bar, but they might get that from the chatbot. And that, like, you'll see there's a theme of a chatbot being so important to this whole process of a candidate coming there, being attracted, and being able to learn or take action from there.
Yep. There's some other stats here around understanding the candidate's search functionality. Is not able to understand the context of the keyword. Search functionality only show results for what is typed, not similar suggestions.
Yeah.
And auto location detection too, which is the key.
Look, Chris, in any of these, if Google didn't try to interpret what you were looking for, or do the spell checking for you, or check common words, like, we'd be so frustrated with that experience, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Like, we'd be saying, like, why is it, like, what? Doesn't it understand what I'm trying to get to? Yes, I typed it wrong. Doesn't it understand? And in the job world, that's actually a big problem. Because what I call my role may not be what all of these companies that you're applying to call their role. And so what you're trying to do as quickly as you can as a candidate is you're trying to find the right job for you, not for someone else. Find the right job for you. And to do that, I only know the keywords I know. I don't know your internal jargon. And I don't know like-minded terms always. So these when you're searching for jobs on a career site, it has to be an intelligent search. And a lot of that intelligence goes back to some AI as well. You have to know what you're looking. You don't have to know what you're looking for as a candidate. The platform needs to know what you're looking for and how to match you to it. And that's where that intelligence comes in. And websites that you're seeing in these findings that aren't making these suggestions, they don't have the intelligence, behind it and powering it.
Yeah. Let's move on to the engagement section here. Your 9% number, what the company said, chatbot, it's up 5% from last year, I guess. So
Yep.
Significant, non-significant, that number?
It's still not significant enough, right?
Yeah.
Still not significant enough. I think you in any of these categories, you need to keep going up and up and up. And at least it's a start. It's growth. It's a start. There's awareness that has to build somewhere.
Yeah. I was on just a off note here. I was on a company's career site years ago.
Yep.
I forget who it was. And the ATS they're using, I don't remember the name, it was some obscure ATS. Well, one thing I thought was interesting they did on the company's career site, kind of throughout the job search area, they showed you activity happening. In other words, they showed you like, hey, Johnny just registered to create an account, or Susie just applied for this job, and a little kind of activity feed almost as to what was happening on the ATS, which I thought was kind of neat. That just struck me as kind of an excellent way to engage somebody and kind of let them see more kind of into the back end a little bit as a candidate.
Doesn't it give you more confidence when that happens?
Yeah.
Doesn't it make you feel like someone cares?
Right.
Like if you're going to display that, you clearly are trying to influence me to apply. So it must mean you're really looking for candidates, right? Like you really want to fill jobs. I'll probably hear back from you. Good or bad, I'll probably hear back if I apply to this. So I think that engagement or encouragement is important to a job seeker. Right? Yep. I don't know. I mean, are job seekers coming from a place of they have 100% confidence? They're feeling top of the world? I bet it's a mix. I bet you have a lot of confident job seekers. And I bet because of our process and transactional approach to applying and then never hearing back and going through interview processes and then not hearing, like, I bet that gives there's not a lot of confidence then for many job seekers. And anything we can do to encourage them or treat them more human in the entire process and understand what they're going through and how that affects them, I think is good for us.
Yep. Yeah, you said before, empathy is the new new candidate experience.
I think so. I think it's critical right now.
Some other great stuff in here. So 94% of career sites did not present job recommendations. Most didn't just show you recently viewed jobs or even had didn't have a job cart.
Yeah,
so
I'm trying to go back, right? Let's face it. In our lives, what do? We research, we look, and we go, oh, I want to go back to that third one. That third job I looked at, that was the one that I felt most connected to. I think that's the one I'll apply. And what, I have to start my search again? Right? Again, it goes back to this inconvenience of an experience. And anytime we're doing that, we're slowing the process down.
Here's some really interesting stats on the engagement section. 38% of career sites lacked posting date of jobs. That's up 4% from last year.
Yep.
How critical is the date on there, do you think? Because, from my experience, job seekers, if they see an older job, they're not going to apply.
Right.
Because they think it's already filled, maybe. What do you say about that?
I would say, do you check the date on milk before you pour it in your cereal?
Yes.
Then there you go.
5% of the Fortune 500 send applicants a satisfaction survey. That's good to hear what may they be doing wrong. Mm-hmm. That's like free consulting right there. If you just ask your seekers what are we doing wrong here?
Yeah. Why is it only 5% though? I mean,
right.
At least it's 5% and not 1%, right? More people are sending folks satisfaction surveys, not even sending them application status surveys. That's backwards. That's crazy, right? Like that doesn't make sense. But we've seen that, right? How many times have you gotten a satisfaction survey for a product that didn't arrive yet?
Yeah.
So it happens, right? This mismatch of timing does happen. But they should be getting some great feedback. I agree.
Here's a product idea for you, Jonathan. So Phenom should be the first company to integrate the survey into my Alexa device over here and say, because I get those, it pops up occasionally. Hey, what do you think of, how many stars would you give this product? Well, you could.
You're right. That's not a bad idea. I'll write that down here. I got a pen.
I want credit.
I'll share it with Mahi tomorrow.
All right, let's the last part of this is the conversion stuff.
Yeah.
And the conversion stuff is so important right now, especially because I'm hearing from a lot of employers that applications have fallen off a cliff. Actually, what are you hearing from your customers about that aspect? Actually, first of all,
I'll tell you what, there's first of all, there's a lot going on that's
yeah,
very complex in our economies right now and in our talent market. We are seeing job postings out the roof, on the rise, like way up there. Now you have all these job postings, you have a lot of people out of work, right? You know, there's all kinds of theories right now. What's going to get people back to work? What's motivating certain individuals and what's not motivating certain individuals? It's too much to go into on this podcast right now for this topic, but it's a complex topic, right? It's not something simple. So we're seeing jobs returning. We're seeing it in the US. Globally, we'll continue to see it, but every country is in a different state right now, and we're not going to make a blanket statement related to where everyone sits. But as we know, vaccines are rolling out, and they're starting to roll out, and as that happens, businesses are returning back in a very healthy way. And many of the things they have to do right now is hire. If someone's listening and they're in the US right now to this podcast, I guarantee if they walked around their city, their town, if they drove more than 20 miles in the last week, they've seen a dozen help wanted signs. It's everywhere. Everyone is trying to hire right now. So, you know, with that, will you see application rates going down? Yeah, you might. There's a lot of jobs people are applying to versus few jobs in a gigantic candidate pool. So now you still have the large candidate pool, but you have a ton more jobs. How are you attracting those right people? And this goes back to our companies, especially Fortune 500 companies. Are they ready for their talent recovery, if you will? Right. Are they ready to start their mass hiring? Even if they're ready, is the tech ready? Can they scale? You know, and this report highlights that as much as many of them will say yes, the answer is probably no. They're not really ready.
Yep.
Because it's going to be harder and harder for them to compete in a market where they're getting less applications, getting less candidates, because competition out there is fierce.
Yeah. One of the aspects of conversion, Jonathan, is having to register to apply. You say in your survey, 72% of career sites provides single sign-on as an easy authentication process. Did you see a lot of companies still requiring you to register before having to be able to apply?
Well, I think with the numbers of 72%, it's a positive sign, right? We're going in the right direction with that. I think because that's a big barrier, right? When you look at that, or you look at how complicated the actual apply process is, I think most companies out there have realized over the last few years, hey, we can really simplify the apply process. And if that's the case, we can really get more applicants in the door. And this is a very similar concept to marketing and lead generation. If we can simplify the form, AKA application, we will get more people. If we can make it something that they're more comfortable with, such as a single sign-on, because they're returning, even better.
Yeah.
So you've attracted them now twice to your brand. Do you really want to make it hard for them the second time? No, you want to make it crisp and clean the second time. You want to give them the experience that, welcome back, Chris. We're glad you're back. And we really think this is the right job for you. So let's apply and make that really easy with this single sign-on.
Yeah.
Like that's what they wanted.
I never have to log on to Facebook every time I go back, or Amazon. It's always there. I'm always logged in.
And they know what you looked at. They know what you were interested in, right? They know your history. Like this candidate experience is not just like shopping. There's so many similarities to it, but it's not just shopping, right? It's our experience in getting an Uber. It's our experience in looking at movies and browsing movies. It's our experience discovering new music on Spotify, right? Like all of this is an experience to us, and the candidate experiences is and shouldn't be any different.
Well, keep beating that drum, Jonathan, there at Phenom. I think, employers need to have this kind of drilled into their heads over and over again. And you guys are well on your way to doing that. So I appreciate your time today. You can get the report at phenom.com. There's a little banner there on top, I think. As we wrap things up, Jonathan, what's next for Phenom in 2021? What are you looking forward to in the next 6 months or so from the company?
Yeah. So anyone who is interested in the report, what we try to do, Chris, is if they're featured in the report and they want to actually go over their findings with us in more detail, we set up a one-on-one meeting and we walk them through their findings. So that's something interesting. We don't release all of the findings in the report, but if someone wanted to know, like, why did you rate me a 75? We'll walk them through what went into it, what it looks like, and why that is. So that offer is always there for the Fortune 500. And any company who wants to be compared to the Fortune 500, we would do the same thing too. So they can reach out to us too. But what's next for Phenom? I think you're going to continue to see our velocity increase. Like, we were on a very good path in a highly up into the right direction, if you will.
Yep.
We want to continue that. We've invested very heavily in not just the candidate experience, which we are originally known for, but also for the recruiter experience, the employee experience. We've made huge gains in employee experience. And we have many successful customers now talking about that in the market. And then hiring managers too. Hiring managers are critical to the process and no one is talking about them. And they're going to be vital. So we'll continue to innovate our product. We'll continue to talk about talent experience and why talent experience is really what's separating companies right now and why that's what we believe in. And, you know, we've acquired 3 companies in the last, I don't know, 7 months or so, right? And you'll continue to see us make acquisitions too. So we're very active in the market. And again, the only thing I could say is we thank our existing customers, our future customers, and our employees for being with us in our journey.
Awesome. Well, it's great to see you, Jonathan. You go into HR Tech at all?
Absolutely.
Excellent. So
Any vendor who's looking to do a physical event, we are booking hotel rooms and we're ready to rock. So yeah, I could tell you, we'll be there and hopefully we'll see you.
You will, definitely. All right. Well, that will do. Thank you, Jonathan. Thanks for coming and say hello to the team and stay well.
Thanks, Chris.
That will do it for this episode of the RecTech Podcast. Be sure to follow us on the socials, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn via the @RecTech Media handle to see every podcast, video, and blog we publish. By the way, if you want the video version of this podcast, just subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go on there and search RecTech Media and hit the subscribe button. Shout out again to my sponsor, Braze. I'm sure check them out for their virtual job fair tech. Thanks for listening, everyone. Remember, always be recruiting. All right, man, that's a wrap.